Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another wrestling review. And today I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite WWF pay-per-views of all time, the King of the Ring 1993. Okay, so this event took place on Sunday, June the 13th, 1993, from the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio, which is still in existence, I believe, is the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. Okay, now to open things up, we had the King of the Ring tournament itself. The first round matches will consist of 50-minute time limits. We have Jim Ross, Randy Savage, and Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary. Probably one of the best things to come out of 1993 were those three broadcasting and calling the action. Okay, now to open up the King of the Ring tournament, you had Bret Hart taking on Razor Ramon, and this was a pretty good match. It went back and forth for about 10 minutes, and at times Razor tried to turn it into a street fight, but then we see Bret Hart with his great in-ring technical ability and his great in-ring prowess outsmart Razor Ramon and actually out-wrestled him and wins the match with a small package. Your winner and advancing to the semifinals of the King of the Ring tournament, Bret the Hitman Hart. Okay, and then the second match of the first round saw Mr. Perfect taking on Mr. Curtis Hughes, and I believe this was Curtis Hughes' only match at a WWF pay-per-view. Actually was at the King of the Ring, and the ending came kind of cheap when Hughes grabbed hold of the urn that was seated at ringside, which was stolen a few days earlier by Hughes and Harvey Whippleman, and he just whacked Mr. Perfect with the urn, getting disqualified. Your winner and advancing to the semi-final match, Mr. Perfect. Okay, and then the other match saw Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on Bam Bam Bigelow, and this match, not the greatest, but I mean, you see why Bam Bam Bigelow was one of the best men in the business, and Jim Duggan helped put him over. Bigelow won with the flying headbutt off the top rope, and he advanced into the semifinals as well. Your winner, Bam Bam Bigelow. Okay, and then we had Tatanka taking on the narcissist Lex Luger, and this, a lot of people might disagree with me, but I think this was a heck of a match. This was a pretty good match, and we had the little, skit before the match started when Luger was posing in the ring in front of the mirror, and then Tatanka came to the ring and Luger refused to get the match started, and we see Tatanka knock the mirror over onto Luger, and then the match proceeded. It was a back and forth battle. These two guys fought each other with everything they had, but the 50-minute time limit came into play, and obviously it came to a draw, and then Lex Luger got on the microphone and cut a promo and said, "Tatanka, I want 5 more minutes." And then as Tatanka proceeded to give Luger his wish, Luger would take off that elbow pad, which we all know the story that elbow was loaded, and he just walloped Tatanka and knocked him out cold. So therefore this match ended in a no contest, but still one of my favorite matches, Tatanka versus Lex Luger. And therefore, as a result, we see Bam Bam Bigelow now gets a bye into the finals of the King of the Ring tournament, since there was no winner in this matchup. Okay, and now moving on to probably the match of the night. I would say this was indeed the match of the night, the semifinals of the King of the Ring tournament, the only semifinal match of the King of the Ring tournament since Bam Bam got a bye. Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect, an unbelievable action-packed battle. Those two went at it for 20 minutes, and I think they topped their SummerSlam matchup from 1991, a couple of years before that. And you see once again the technical expertise of Bret Hart come into play, where he scores an out of nowhere small package on Mr. Perfect and gets the pin. And after the match, Mr. Perfect went back into the ring and extended his hand and showed good sportsmanship and shook Bret Hart's hand out of appreciation. Your winner, and moving on to the finals of the King of the Ring tournament, Bret Hart. And this was indeed the match of the night. If you have not seen this matchup between Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect from the King of the Ring in 1993. I suggest that you check it out. You can see it on YouTube, as far as we all know. I'm gonna put the link in the description box so you guys can take a look at that. Okay, and then we had the WWE Championship matchup, WWF Championship matchup. Hulk Hogan defending against Yokozuna. Alright, with all due respect to both of these guys, this match was just completely awful. I mean, probably one of the worst championship matches I have ever seen in wrestling. And for an event of this caliber, the King of the Ring, you know, to have Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna, to have the match that they did, it was just total garbage. It didn't even belong on pay-per-view. It's just that bad. You have to see it. I'm not even gonna waste my breath trying to explain it to you. The only thing I'm gonna say is the ending came when we saw that cameraman get up on the ring apron and flash the fire flash into Hogan's eye, thus causing Hogan to fall down, and then we see Yokozuna drop the leg and gets the pin and wins the WWF title for a second time. And then, as you know, Hulkamania was out of the WWF for about 10 years or so, and then jumped ship to WCW shortly after that. Anyway, your winner and new WWF champion, Yokozuna. Okay, and then we had an 8-man tag team match, which I believe, you know, was sort of pointless. The Smoking Guns and the Steiner brothers taking on Money Incorporated and the Headshrinkers. This match started out, you know, okay, and then out of nowhere, Billy Gunn scores a roll-up victory on Ted DiBiase, and then an all-out brawl breaks out between the two teams. Probably, you know, this match lasted like, I would say, about 5 minutes or so. But anyway, your winners, Smoking Guns and the Steiner brothers. Okay, and then we had the Intercontinental Championship matchup. Shawn Michaels defending the title against Crush. Before this matchup, we seen Shawn Michaels cut a promo saying how Hulk Hogan is a dinosaur, and by me just today, like, looking at that promo, it was usually the setup for Hogan versus Michaels back in 2005. Anyway, a classic promo. You got to see that as well. Okay, and then the Intercontinental title match, Shawn Michaels versus Crush. Sort of a cheap ending. We seen Crush do his usual power bits in the matchup as Michaels tried his little high-flying stuff as well. It was a pretty good match. I gotta give him that much. I enjoyed this championship match, except for the ending, when out of nowhere we seen 2 or 3 Doink the Clowns marching down the ringside, and then Crush was easily distracted and then took a super kick to the back of the head by Shawn Michaels, and then Shawn Michaels gets the pin and retains his Intercontinental title. Okay, and still your Intercontinental champion, Shawn Michaels. Alright, and now moving on to our last match, the King of the Ring Tournament Finals, Bret Hart versus Bam Bam Bigelow. Another awesome match. This is why Bret Hart says he is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Just an awesome matchup. Bam Bam Bigelow, like I said, is one of the best big men in the business. He usually worked good with guys that were smaller than him, and I'll give him credit. He was an agile big man on his feet, and he, you know, gave Bret Hart his moment in that matchup when we realize that these two guys, they gel well together. They are capable of putting on good matches with one another. I've seen a few Bret Hart Bam Bam Bigelow matches in the past before this match actually happened here in the finals at the King of the Ring, and I gotta say, they actually do work very well together. Anyway, Bret Hart gets the win after a grueling battle, and we got a little bit teased before that match, believing that Bam Bam Bigelow had won the King of the Ring when Luna came out of nowhere and nailed Bret Hart with a steel chair, and then Bigelow got the pin, and then the refs came out and said what they saw, that Luna attacked Bret Hart with the steel chair, and then the match was ordered to continue, and then we see Bret Hart come out of nowhere, an excellent maneuver. Bret Hart used that victory roll to win the matchup. Up to that point in time, as a kid, I had never seen that wrestling move used before. I'm talking about the victory roll. Bret Hart just, came out of nowhere and scores the pin, and the crowd just went nuts. They just exploded and they went crazy, and Bret Hart got a standing ovation and was announced the first King of the Ring. And then we seen Randy Savage get into the ring to congratulate Bret Hart, and the celebration was on. And then after the match, Bret Hart would go down to the platform, and Mean Gene Okerlund would present Bret Hart with the throne and the coronation of the King of the Ring. And then, in a very, celebrative moment, we seen Jerry the King Lawler come down, claiming to be the undisputed king. And then him and Bret Hart would exchange words, and then a Burger King chant would ensue throughout the arena. Burger King, Burger King. And then Jerry Lawler was just getting pissed off, and then he attacked Bret Hart with the scepter, and then proceeded to choke him and kick him down a little flight of steps that they had leading up to the platform. And then that would eventually, propel the feud between Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler. That would happen that very year at SummerSlam, and then their feud would be sort of put on hold and then, re-established a couple of years later in the later years of WWF. Anyway, Bret Hart, the 1993 King of the Ring, only to have the coronation ambushed and ruined by Jerry the King Lawler. Still a very good, solid pay-per-view. The Bret Hart matches were the best matches on the card. If you did not see this King of the Ring pay-per-view, I suggest that you check it out. I'm gonna leave the link in the description box so you guys can check out the Bret Hart Mr. Perfect match. That is indeed an awesome, awesome match. Make sure you check that out. That is a must for every wrestling fan, that every wrestling fan should see. Anyway, King of the Ring 1993, Sunday, June 13th, 1993, would far be remembered as a great, pay-per-view event for me as a little kid growing up, and, one of the best, except for a couple of, not so great matches on the card, but pretty much a very, good pay-per-view, I should say. Alright guys, that's it. I'll be back next week with another pay-per-view review, and I'm out. Peace.